This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 28 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Pat.
I'm your co-host, Eddie.
And I'm Andy.
Join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries, right here on Paranormal Dads. Greetings, fellow travelers of this planet we call Earth.
Oh my goodness. That's the best beginning.
Traveling through the universe.
First episode of 2019.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
This is our first episode of 2019.
We had a couple rescheduled episodes where life got in the way, people got sick.
Holidays.
It seemed like the
Holidays.
universe was conspiring against us to record another one, but we're finally making it happen.
And it wanted to keep us down today, even, and we were like, no, this will happen.
No, human free will has triumphed over the chaos and entropy of the cosmos. Because my goodness gracious, especially my kids throwing curveballs at us, and there's Mama Luta bringing in presents. Yay!
Thanks for the pizza.
See, I just yelled out the entropy of the cosmos, and your amazing spouse, Pat, brought us
Food.
sustenance.
To be
This
had.
is Godfather's, isn't it?
It is.
I can tell just by looking at it. I don't know if I'm proud or embarrassed,
I'd
but
be proud.
by smell and sight, I can tell. I'm just going for it. I'll
Paranormal Dads pizza hour. We're just gonna dive in. So yeah, I mean, if I don't know where to put this, I'm trying to this persistent pizza power that we ponder on this podcast.
I'm kind of hungry. You guys just want to break and eat real quick?
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
Come back.
Stay tuned.
Well, for you, it would be no time, right now, or now.
Pizza was delicious. Thanks, Pat.
So 2 hours later,
Super yummy. I love it. Super thanks to Luta Plice and Godfather's Pizza.
yes,
We are well-fed dads.
day old pizza is the best kind of pizza there is.
The flavors blend. Yeah.
It's good. Good stuff.
So we're back. I think we're looking at the recent sightings is the first one, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, boy.
Who's up to bat with this one today?
I believe it's Eddie.
It's me.
You got something locked and loaded for us, buddy?
I do. Here we go. Okay, so recent sightings. This is kind of a expansion on one of our other recent sightings. I'm trying to remember now. Was the Oumuamua a recent sightings, or was it a main mystery on one of our last episodes?
I thought it was a recent sighting.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure.
So it's an update on a recent sighting then.
A recent sighting of a recent sighting.
Right.
Recent sighting squared. So recently, and I say recently, as recent as of November of 2018, so a couple months ago, 4 additional interstellar objects. To do a quick recap for anybody who may not have heard our last episode. If not, what are you doing? Pause this one, go back, listen to that one. But Oumuamua was named because the person who observed it was based off from an observatory in Hawaii, and so it's a Hawaiian word that means messenger. So kind of an interesting thing, and maybe coincidental, but the whole idea of Oumuamua there's people who feel like it may be artificially constructed. It may not be a naturally formed object. Mm-hmm. There's some debate on that online. You feel free to look this stuff up and weigh in on that for your own. But there are a contingent of scientists who believe this very well could be a artificially constructed thing that's been sent off into space. its trajectory did have it come from outside of our solar system, which a lot of astrophysicists and not astrologists, astronomers said that in and of itself is pretty impressive. We do have some interstellar objects in our solar system that do kind of leave and then come back, but this one, its trajectory had it come from a place that nobody had ever seen before, because they track a lot of this stuff already.
And wasn't the makeup of this thing a combination of chemicals that we've never seen before?
Yeah, they were saying a lot of the different compounds and elements on this particular thing. And once again, they're all going off of... nobody actually chopped a piece of this thing off or anything.
Right.
But they're going off of the way it's moving, the way it's reflecting light, all that stuff. Its wobble, how it accelerated as it was leaving Earth's its path that kind of brought it closer to Earth. As it kind of rounded around and started to exit, it sped up. And it wasn't by it didn't speed up like punch the gas, but it definitely did increase its velocity, which a lot of, and its mass did not decrease, which astrophysicists have said for anything like that to speed up, it would have to have lost some mass for that to happen, like an ejection of some kind. But
Sure.
that did not happen on this thing. So anyway, update on this. 4 more interstellar objects have been observed between the Sun-Jupiter area. It's basically the term is it's like a fisherman's net, that space between where a lot of things get caught in those two giant bodies, gravity. And these 4 objects, I have their names.
Eddie did his homework.
They're very exciting. Here we go, guys. Strap in. So Oumuamua was a cool sounding one. Here are the other names of the 4 objects. 2011 SP25, 2017 RR2, 2017
RR2,
SV13.
R2D2.
Right? Like we almost had a Star Wars sounding thing. And 2018 TL6.
Huh.
Stokes the fires of the
11-6.
imagination.
Sexy words there. It doesn't roll off. What it kind of sounds like is Mercedes vehicles.
Exactly.
Your MKX or
Like, Pat, I drive a 2018 TL6 Mazda. Andy drives a 2017 SV13 Pontiac.
I want to get a bumper sticker on the back of my vehicle that says my other car is the mothership.
Yes.
Speaking of things that are out there flying around in space, I don't know if you guys ever follow on Twitter a guy by the name of Frankie McDonald.
No.
He's this Canadian, I say kid, but he's probably in his 20s. And he's almost kind of like this expert on the weather. It's like he's made a lot of weather predictions that
he's
have
in Canada,
apparently
right? He's in
come
Nova
true.
Scotia.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
Is it like long-term weather patterns or?
Yeah, well, he'll make predictions of storms that are coming. I think he studies the maps and things, and he's just really
Okay.
good at it. And so, he'll make these predictions, and if Frankie's talking about it, you better listen up. If
He gets real excited,
because
too.
he'll talk about weather's coming to Nebraska, blizzard's coming. Get your pizza, get your Pepsi, get your get
your
all
Chinese
your
food,
Chinese
that's
food. Yeah, so one of his predictions. In a recent tweet, he was talking about an asteroid is supposed to be coming near the Earth February 1st, 2019.
Yep, I've heard that.
So it's like,
What?
if Frankie's talking about an asteroid coming to Earth, it's like, okay, I'm going to be watching the skies.
I'm definitely going to buy my
Not that
Pepsi
it's going
and
to
pizza.
do us a whole lot of good watching the skies if one actually did hit,
Yeah. Ugh.
depending on how big it would be. But Frankie's actually coming out with a book soon, so a little plug there for Frankie. But
Is it going to be one of these that are visible with the naked eye? It's so bright kind of deals, or?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
If it's actually coming. So
Well, I hope they give that one a better name than these 4 objects, Eddie.
actually, I think he posted
Guys,
the name
look out. Here
and
comes
it was something similar.
2018 21Z4.
It's asteroid 2002 NT7.
Ooh.
Come on, people. Why don't they name them like hurricanes?
Yeah,
right?
That's Bob. That's Bob the asteroid.
Here comes Timmy.
Yeah.
The asteroid.
Asteroid Andy.
There's Astrid the asteroid.
Andy is an asteroid.
So not to digress, but
No, you're fine.
that I thought we'd throw that little extra recent sighting in there.
That gets
to
right. That's
today's
amazing.
episode,
We should keep
but-
our eyes out for this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and certainly keep an eye out on our Facebook page. It'd be kind of fun to share some of that stuff.
For sure.
So these 4 objects are locked in the Sun-Jupiter like gravitational pull, and the scientists who have observed these 4 objects, they've said without a doubt their trajectory has brought them in from out of our solar system, so they're not part of the neighborhood. And now the cool part about these things is all the observations on these 4 have yielded that they are completely natural objects. They are either an asteroid or a comet. They haven't quite figured that part out yet, but their behavior, their reflectivity, just the way that they are moving, essentially the way they're orbiting, is very typical of what they would call, a natural occurring object, which once again underlined how strange Oumuamua was. And it kind of takes, in my opinion, and this is where you read an article and you kind of start that whole confirmation bias where you're like, aha, I knew it. But even in the article, it said it kind of gives a little bit more teeth to the statement that Oumuamua behaved like an artificially created object. And now you have 4 other objects that are meeting some of the criteria that Oumuamua did, in the sense that they all came from outside of our solar system. But beyond that, they're all behaving very typically, and Oumuamua is even more of an anomaly now with these 4 objects. Once again, the reflectivity of Oumuamua is unlike anything they've seen. It's way too shiny. That's one of the quotes.
Its dimensions were weird too.
Dimensions are weird,
because
super thin.
It was like a football field long. How many feet across? A couple dozen yards across, but it was like as thin as a razor blade.
I think it was like 1,000 yards. I think it was
was
like
it?
a couple of
So
football,
a couple fields long.
And then it was like as thin as like a Pop-Tart, you know? And there was some debate on the thickness of this thing, but either way, it was not super thick. Super weird shape, and
that's not the typical shape for a comet or an asteroid.
Yeah.
They look like potatoes usually.
And the composition was something that our scientists have not seen up to now. So just once more, kind of an update to an old recent sighting, but knowing now that there's 4 more objects that are similar but not enough so that it makes Oumuamua stand out even more so.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly. And it's watching you and sending back all the information to the alien overlords.
Sleep tight, everybody.
It's time for pop, culture, and the paranormal.
Here we go, pop culture and the paranormal. It was my turn to dig something up for us. And when you think pop culture game shows, probably the #1 game show that would come to mind over the course of decades.
$20,000 pyramid.
Good try. Incorrect. Jeopardy.
Oh yeah,
Jeopardy. It's quite possibly one of the more popular game shows in history. I mean, everything from
Arguably.
People do Jeopardy games in school to help with studying, and
we all know the theme music.
Everybody knows.
I won't even.
I think it's even appeared on this show before.
I think it has.
Alex Trebek has been doing that show for like 84 years. Dude's been on there forever.
He doesn't age either, by the way.
He doesn't.
He has that whole Dick Clark thing going on where you're like, is he alive? No, he's still. His mustache is not alive. His mustache.
He brought it back this season for the first time in a long time, and it only lasted a couple episodes.
Really?
It had its own Twitter following and everything. It was
Alex
ridiculous.
Trebek's mustache. That is the best.
And then it came off. But I've been an
man.
avid Jeopardy watcher for years,
Mm-hmm.
and even did an online tryout for the show a year or two ago. But gosh, they make those qualifying questions so hard. I think to weed out just the average people.
Yeah,
like
some
myself,
of the people on that show, you can tell they're just so intelligent.
Just
crazy.
type of people, like everything they've ever learned is just permanently locked in their
stamped
brain.
in the brain.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Weird Al song too. I lost on Jeopardy.
I lost on Jeopardy.
Baby.
Taken after the Greg Kinn song.
Exactly.
Our Loves in Jeopardy.
Yes. Anyway,
Well,
sorry.
No, it's fine. Like right around mid-December, I was watching Jeopardy, and it was actually on December 14th, so it was sometime that week that this episode appeared. But they had a whole category dedicated to cryptids and kind of mythological creatures,
Nice.
and the title of the category was called Mythological Taxonomy.
Ooh.
And so as the clues were popping up on the screen, I was just kind of taking on the TV. I was taking screenshots on my phone, figuring that we could use it for this segment. So without further ado, you, Eddie, and Pat, good sir, you'll be contestants. So I don't know how you're supposed to ring in. I guess just raise your hand. Make sure to form your answer in the form of a question.
Oh, yes. And listeners, too, if you want to yell out answers.
Exactly. We'll pause and give you just a second to think of it. So in no particular order, I don't know which one was worth which dollar amount, so I'll just make that up. For $1 billion, the first clue, I'm going to totally butcher this name, Nesceteris rhombopteryx has been suggested as a scientific name for this Scottish creature. Pat.
Who is Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster?
That is correct. $1 billion to Pat.
Oh, my goodness. Well done.
All right. Next, for a high five.
Ooh, nice.
The xenomorphs in this space horror film have been called Internecivus raptus. Eddie.
What is aliens?
Alien is correct.
Alien.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, and I think the sequel was Aliens,
Yeah.
plural, correct?
You give it to me still.
Yeah, it was the aliens in that film. Yeah.
I want my high five.
Oh, here you go. Sorry, I don't have $1 billion for you, Pat.
I write a check.
This next one was actually the Daily Double. So, Eddie,
That's
if you ring in, you can wager your high five. Pat, if you ring in, you can bet all $1 billion.
So if I win, I get 2 high fives?
That's right.
You
You can double it.
And you get
Double
$2
his
billion?
I do.
Man, I love your high fives, guys, but come on.
All right. Here's the clue. Linnaeus released the name Microcosmus marinus for this legendary squid-like creature.
What is the Kraken?
What is? You are right, sir.
Yeah, 2 high fives.
High five.
Double. Both barrels.
The Kraken, indeed.
Kraken, very
Release
good.
the Kraken.
Did you? I'm thinking back to that episode where we were talking about the Kraken, and you were talking about getting a tattoo
My
on
arms.
on your back, and the tentacles came over and wrapped around your nipples.
Exactly.
Just carrying my Kraken piggyback style.
My dad is so gross. His Kraken tattoo.
Next clue. The scientist in this 2015 sequel create the Indominus Rex, and it lives up to its name. Pat.
What is Jurassic World 2?
Incorrect.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
You overthought it. I think it's
Yeah.
just Jurassic World.
Was
What
it
was
just
it?
Jurassic
Jurassic World?
World?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gave me aliens.
Indominus Rex. Yeah, that's right. That was the first one. Wasn't there? There was a second one though, wasn't there?
Yeah, the second one just came out.
There was a second one. Was there a new
yeah.
dinosaur in that one though?
I don't know if I
haven't
even
seen
saw
it.
the second one.
Yeah, I did.
I've not.
I saw it. Wasn't as thrilled as
Yeah.
Jurassic World, the second
I
one.
feel like
It
there's
was-
only so much they can do with Jurassic Park. They keep thinking they can keep Jurassic Galaxy.
They just tear it all down, and the next movie they build it up again. And
Dinosaurs in space.
That's what we need.
All right, last clue in this category.
see a raptor in like one of the space suits with a little bubble helmet over his head.
He can't get his helmet on because his arms are too short.
He's out there on the International Space Station doing a spacewalk with his short
Exactly.
little arms. I can't reach the tether.
Jurassic Mars.
All right, next clue. Gigantopithecus canadensis was suggested by some for this North American fellow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're first.
What is Bigfoot?
What is? Yes, sir, you are correct.
Yes.
Good job,
I love
Eddie.
Sasquatch.
Gosh, talk about a tongue twister.
Right?
Each one of those had a scientific name. I probably butchered
Throwing
half
out the
of them.
Latin names on this. That's how they get you.
Yeah, so we had, we had a Jurassic World clue, Alien,
Nessie.
Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot.
But ran the gamut.
About covered it. Yeah.
And credit to Jeopardy for, doing a kind of out there category, which they
embracing
do
that
every
kind of
now and
thing.
again, but that was fun.
It makes it fun when they do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My weak spots always show on those trivia shows when they get into any sort of sports stuff. I'm just like, but I don't know. It's like Superman, just a kryptonite around my neck.
It's kind of funny with me in sports. It's like if you take it past maybe about 1988, once I get into college and beyond, I know nothing about sports.
Yeah.
It's like, I followed sports as a kid and it seemed to me there were more heroes back then. I think I as I got older, these guys didn't come across as heroes anymore.
Yeah.
And I just kind of quit following the thing. But, back in the day when there was, Craig Morton, Roger Staubach, all these famous baseball players and football players, Larry Bird, but as you get older, it's harder to find heroes, I guess.
I found the same thing, Pat, when I'm watching the Jeopardy sports clues. I can get them like if they're from the 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
90s, but the more recent ones, like, who won the World Series just like 5 years ago. It's like, I don't know. It's too much going on nowadays. But
I'm so non-sporty. You said those names, and you may as well said those meteor names to me. You made 2017 RR2. I'm like, really?
go sports ball.
Sports.
Yay. Sports. Well, there you go. There's your short and sweet pop culture and the paranormal. So
That was super fun.
That was
Hey, let
fun.
us know
Thanks,
how you
Andy.
did on our Facebook page and such.
hopefully you won $1 billion like Pat.
Or some high fives.
From the opulence and excess of Beverly Hills to luxurious destinations around the globe, it's time to rub shoulders with the privileged and successful among us, as Paranormal Dads now offers you a look into the paranormal lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Well, today we'll discuss one of the most famous students of the paranormal in Hollywood, none other than the Ghostbusters' Ray Stantz, better known as Dan Aykroyd. Aykroyd grew up on the family farm in Canada and was surrounded by stories of the paranormal. His great-grandfather was a spiritualist and regularly conducted seances in their farmhouse, where Aykroyd still lives today. Aykroyd describes the house as having a mind-blowing amount of spiritual activity, and friends and relatives who have visited reported invisible hands pulling off their sheets at night. Aykroyd's ghostly experiences are not limited to his farmhouse. While living in the former home of Mama Cass in California, the Saturday Night Live star has said a large ghost inhabits the house. It's been known to turn on the Stairmaster and move jewelry across the dresser. Aykroyd's most frequent experiences come in the form of vivid dreams of lost friends, such as former Saturday Night Live cast member John Belushi. While these personal experiences were part of the inspiration for the movie Ghostbusters, ghosts are not the only paranormal topic Aykroyd has first-hand experience with. He spent several years as the Hollywood ambassador to MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, which is a civilian organization that investigates UFO sightings. One of Aykroyd's more bizarre tales is an incident that happened in New York City, in which he said he was confronted by men in black as he was talking to Britney Spears on the phone. As they spoke, he says he noticed a black car pull up on a nearby street. Out of the car stepped a mysterious pale man in a black suit, who stood outside the car staring at him, and another inside the car gave Aykroyd an unpleasant glance from the back seat. Aykroyd said he looked away for a brief moment, and when he looked back, the sedan had disappeared. To further add to the mystery, the show Aykroyd was working on that day was discussing testimony of UFO witnesses and supposed insider information. Oddly, the producers were told to stop shooting the show, and it never saw the light of day. For the Paranormal Dads, I'm Pat, and this has been Paranormal Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
Okay, so today we are talking about probably Canada's biggest UFO event that has ever taken place. It's kind of like Canada's Roswell.
Get out of here, eh? You hoser. We're going to do that so much. People are going to hate our guts. I'm sorry.
We're talking about what's been known as the Shag Harbour UFO incident.
Was it Shagadelic?
We're going to shag now or shag later?
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
We're going to shag now because that's how.
Right now. So this occurred back when
late
Austin Powers was
Yeah, right. It
probably
would have been
shagging.
exact.
Was it in the 70s?
It was October of 1967.
Yeah, late 60s.
Oh, gotcha.
And so it took place in and around the small fishing village of Shag Harbour, located at the southern tip of Nova Scotia, Canada. And this event has come to be known as one of the best documented UFO events of the past 50 years.
Oh my goodness.
And it is the equivalent of Canada's Roswell.
It sounds like it's even more impressive, though. I
mean,
for pound.
as far as
Or kilogram
witnesses,
for
I would say
kilogram.
yes, it is, as
You know,
we'll
metric
find
system.
out. But the tiny community has always had its stories. There's been reports of giant sea serpents and man-eating squid and ghost ships. So now add one more type of story to the list, the story of a UFO. And that brought attention to the village and has permanently stamped its name in the public eye.
Wow.
So it all started back when reports started coming in to the local police of lights, orange lights being seen in the sky that night. Local residents noticed strange orange lights in the sky around 11 p.m. on October 4th, 1967. Most of the witnesses agreed there were 4 orange lights that evening. 5 teenagers watched these lights flash in sequence and then suddenly dive in a 45-degree angle into the water. They didn't actually see them go into the water. It fell behind a tree line.
Yeah.
But a number of people congregated at the harbor shoreline, and you could look out into the harbor and see a glowing yellow light, out floating on the water.
Wow.
And so they were at the time they weren't thinking UFO. They're thinking aircraft in the water. They're thinking people in the water. It's
Right.
frigid water. They were calling the police, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So think, what's the Dudley Do-Right?
Dudley Do-Right.
That's what I picture. I picture the guys, singing on "I'm a Lumberjack."
Exactly.
So
How are the horses going to get in the water? give them scuba gear.
So they're thinking, people in the water. Let's get the Coast Guard out there.
Yeah.
The Canadian police commandeered, which was common at the time. They commandeered some fishing boats. They woke the guys up out of bed and said, "Come on, we need your boat. We got
Wake up, you hoser.
we got to get
Taking
out.
your boats.
We got to get out there and see if
Your
we
boots.
can see if we can rescue anybody." Right. So one of the officers from the police that witnessed this estimated the craft to be about 60 feet long, 10 feet high.
Whoa.
So it was and dome shaped. So he said it was a big
Saucer.
So it's like
shape.
big
flying
ship.
saucer
Yeah.
shaped,
Yeah. So when the authorities rolled out there, all they could find in the water was kind of a strange yellow foam, almost like a sea foam. But they said it was not like any other foam they have ever seen before. And these guys are fishermen, right?
Right.
So they spend a lot of time on the water.
Yeah.
They've seen every kind of foam you could possibly imagine. They said this was different.
Wow.
So
Some sort of chemical reacting down there in the water.
Yeah. No passengers. A Coast Guard cutter went out and rushed to the spot of the sighting, and they said the light itself was gone by the time they got out there.
Oh, wow.
So they called in a group that actually the Navy was alerted, and they brought in divers who started diving, started looking for things, and nothing was really found.
Sure.
Well, it's hard to see in that murky water at night. I can only imagine what kind of high-powered lights they tried to take down there.
Well, you'd probably have to bring along a pretty impressive array of glow sticks. Underwater rave.
Canadian rave. Canadian UFO rave. How's that for a band name?
Let's dance, hoser.
So they
I wish you all could see Eddie's face. He lost his mind. Sorry.
So the search was called off around 3 a.m. Nothing was found. There were no reports of missing aircraft reported that evening, either civilian or military aircraft. The following day, the Rescue Coordination Center filed a report with Canadian Forces headquarters in Ottawa, and the report stated that something had hit the water in Shag Harbour, but the object was of quote unquote unknown origin. So you've got a federal agency not saying that it was a plane or anything,
Right.
but they did not know what it was. So I guess you could classify it as a UFO, right?
By
right
very
then and there.
definition. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, they called in the Navy, and the HMCS Granby was ordered to the location, where divers searched the bottom of the ocean for several days. And it's reported that the divers discovered what has only been described as a dark object. And the weird thing about it is it wasn't found in Shag Harbour. It was found up the shoreline, like about 25 miles.
Ooh.
So they believe whatever went into the water at Shag Harbour actually continued on its way and moved up the shoreline. And that's where they discovered it.
What?
So it can fly through space and move underwater.
Yeah, apparently.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So soon the story of the mysterious crash at Shag Harbour died as quickly as it begun. That was until 1993. As the original story faded from papers and newscasts, several theories were put forward. One explanation was that a Russian spacecraft had crashed, which would explain the presence of a Russian submarine that was also in the area about this time. There was also a rumor of American involvement in the follow-up investigation, but there was no official statement from the United States on this subject. About 36 hours after the initial sightings, several Defense Department officials signed off on a memo that made it clear to authorities that authorities had no idea what they were dealing with. And it says, quote unquote, a preliminary investigation has been carried out by the Rescue Coordination Center in Halifax. It has been determined that the UFO sighting was not caused by a flare, float, aircraft, or any known object. So that's kind of weird, having the government come out and say something like that.
Because that probably wouldn't happen with our government.
Yeah, no.
They'd come up with some sort of explanation if it was swamp gas reflecting off a flock of geese or something
That
silly.
completely insults our intelligence.
It does, but it's common, and
Yeah.
in other countries they don't have that. Like they'll just say we don't know what this was.
Right.
You know.
So within a year after the investigations by Canada and the U.S., the United States' Condon Committee, the incident was dismissed, with investigators stating no further action was justifiable.
Right.
So they just kind of said, we're going to drop this one.
I love
That's
it.
it.
I love it. I mean, it's just so par for the course with our group, with our. Oh man! Did you say there was reports of them seeing like actual like human or people, air quotes, leaving?
Well, yeah, they discovered that the divers of the Granby, along with other witnesses, they relayed these events. The objects that dove into the waters of the harbor soon left the Shag area, traveled 25 miles to a place called Government Point, which was near a submarine detection base. And the object was spotted on sonar there, and naval vessels were positioned over it. So after a couple of days, the military was planning a salvage operation when a second UFO joined the first. So it just like suddenly appeared underwater. And it was almost like the common belief at the time that the second craft had arrived to render aid to the first. Divers even reported quote unquote creatures moving back and forth between the two objects.
So it was like a UFO tow truck.
Yeah.
Showed up to help.
Roadside assistance.
Gleep Florp's towing and auto repair. Nothing to see here, though, says the U.S. government. Looks fine to me. Swamp gas, eh, you hosers? I can't.
And at this point in history, you've got the Navy decided to wait and watch. And so after about a week of monitoring the two UFOs, they were called to investigate a Russian submarine which had entered Canadian waters.
Those dang Ruskies.
Yeah, they're always into
Stir the
something.
pot, man.
So
They're like the place that if you're in a bar fight, if you're getting beaten up in a bar, and then they'll like jump in and start beating you up just because. Like that's what I feel like Russia has become. like there's a ruckus going. Let's make it worse.
So you've got a couple of Navy ships, and they got to break off, go deal with this Russian ship. So when they did that, they said the two UFOs underwater made their move. So they took off, headed towards the Gulf of Maine, putting distance between themselves and the chasing Navy boats. Then they broke the surface and shot away into the skies, which is
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Andy and I just looked at each other like in a quiet look.
It's like, well, what?
Like, what kind of technology
And
would it take for them to, be able to move underwater and then break the surface and then just immediately start flying?
so it can fly through space.
Right.
It crashes into water.
Right.
They're
And I've read
able to
the
they're
pressure.
able to repair it apparently,
Yeah.
and then
Take
take
off
off again. Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I've-
if something like that is true, do you imagine what?
So
be
eyewitnesses
involved.
reported seeing 2 additional craft.
Yeah, on the 11th of November, there were reports of people witnessing 2 sets of lights in the sky in the Gulf of Maine area. That they thought to report they didn't think they were
Right.
airplanes. They thought it was something else.
I've always thought if there were, UFOs like permanently just hanging out on our planet, doing research or whatever, waiting to fly, back home to their galaxy, a safe spot to put it would be the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
We can't see it. We don't know what's down there. We literally know more about the surface of the moon than our own oceans. So if they have, aquatic capabilities, yeah, they could have UFOs parked in Lake Superior and the Atlantic Ocean and the Amazon River. We wouldn't know.
I've read that water pressure under the ocean would actually be more intense than anything in space.
Really?
Well,
That's-
space is a
I've heard that
vacuum,
too.
so there's no pressure to speak
Sure.
of. Once you get out of the atmosphere, which obviously has some, I mean, not some, but has quite a bit of pressure to it when you're, heat and all that stuff. But I've read pound for pound going to like the near bottom of the ocean would be insane. For something to be able to sustain that would be obviously way advanced technology to be
It would
able
be.
to withstand that. But I agree. We go back to the ocean so much. We should do a spin-off, the aquatic paranormal dad. We should do like an aqua month or something, because there's more reports of more weird things under the ocean. In all of my weird research I've been doing, but the notion of there being spacecraft hidden under the ocean, what a smart place to put it, you know?
Well, if anyone's going to find it, it's going to be James Cameron making one of his Avatar or Titanic movies, because
Sure.
that dude's always under, I think he took a vessel down to the Marianas Trench, the deepest spot of the ocean. And I mean, you're right, Eddie, pound for pound pressure. That's just insane. But, again, spacecraft that'd be nothing. They could withstand that kind of pressure.
And you got to think about the time that this was happening too. It's 1967. It's the space race is on. It's the Cold War is well underway. A Russian submarine was known to be frequently off the East Coast, and the Americans were testing all manner of devices to spy on the Russians, and including spy satellites that ejected film canisters at high altitudes. And one lighthouse keeper claimed he found a burned metal cylinder at this time, which he claims to have handed over to an American military officer.
Oh boy.
There was also another lighthouse keeper that claimed that a group of British commandos landed on the island where his lighthouse was situated 30 minutes after the crash at Shag Harbour, and they stayed there for 3 days, just hanging out on his island. And then they left by helicopter as mysteriously as they came 3 days later.
Wow.
So much activity out
Yeah.
there.
So, you wouldn't think a supposed plane crash would bring
That much.
British commandos and the American Navy, and I don't know, maybe it would, but
Aliens bringing humans together.
a plane was never reported missing at the time. So, they know it wasn't a plane that went in that night.
That'd be fun to kind of follow up on Shag Harbour like nowadays and see if there's anything at all happening or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about that, Shag Harbour has a museum commemorating the incident. There's also a conference held each year where ufologists discuss the events of Shag Harbour. And
It's called ShagCon.
ShagCon 2019. And recently they just celebrated the 50th anniversary. And, and they had the grandchildren of Jacques Cousteau
Oh.
came and spoke at the conference. apparently they did their own little investigation of Shag Harbour with, all their scuba equipment and things. And prior to the event, and so they came in and said, whatever it was they may have seen.
We see crabs, we see fish, we see rocks. Acton. Adieu.
Hey, Pat, I just noticed.
No alien.
Pat's wearing a Navy SEALs T-shirt just in honor of this main mystery today.
I did. There was a little foresight. I guess when I got dressed this morning, I thought I've got a Navy SEAL T-shirt, and just let it be clear, I don't claim to be a Navy SEAL. I never have claimed to be a Navy SEAL because apparently there's a thing.
Yeah,
no, because he's Pat the Porpoise.
Guys will walk around and
stolen valor kind of thing.
Yeah, they'll like brag about, I used to be a Navy SEAL, and Navy SEALs do not like that at all, as you can well imagine. But no, this is one of those. My wife went to Coronado Beach for work one time, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt sort of a thing. But I've never claimed to be a Navy SEAL. I just want to put that out to my friends, thank them for their service.
That's more
Please
of a
don't beat
support
me up.
shirt. That's what that is. That's like a rallying cry shirt. Like, go.
Yes. Go find the aliens underwater for us.
Exactly. I'll also like your button with the alien.
I'm also sporting a button. It's a picture of a gray head, I guess you'd call him, a little alien head, and it says, "Not here to make friends."
Yeah.
This was a gift from my daughter for Christmas.
That's
just
so
kind
great.
of a little
That is so
gift
funny.
she gave me.
I love it.
So
what a great story, man. Like I said, it's fun to hear about other countries' experiences with our version of Roswell, but it's just neat to hear that. So like I said, I think kilogram for kilogram, since it's in Canada,
Not pound for pound. but-
exactly.
Yeah.
It almost has more like meat almost to it. Although no autopsies in this one.
no autopsies,
No weather balloons.
but a whole bunch of witnesses.
Right.
A lot of people said they saw something that night, and they come back to these conferences that they hold every year and tell their stories. And you can go on to YouTube, and a guy by the name of Chris Stiles, who has really conducted a lot of the investigation into this incident, he's got a talk at one of the conferences posted on YouTube, so it's kind of interesting to hear his story and some of the stuff that he's uncovered.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, I wish we could make it up there to attend that
Oh
sometime.
man, it's another thing to put on the Paranormal Dads bucket list.
We have
That'd
so
be a
much.
great road trip. Go up, check out the museum, and maybe if we timed it right, even go to the conference. That'd be so cool.
Well, it's kind of interesting how
Put it on
everything
the list.
everything gets compared to Roswell. So that's the Canadian Roswell, and there's another really famous case that took place in England and Rendlesham Forest.
Yes,
and that's like the
That would
English
be it. Right,
Roswell.
exactly.
That's
Another very interesting story.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the most famous ones ever. You probably have Roswell. Shag Harbor's got to be up there,
Yeah.
and then you got Rendlesham Forest. But you know, there's
Holy Trinity of
yeah.
UFOs.
Well, thanks for joining us on this very shagadelic version of Paranormal Dads. So, as always, we like to give the guys at freesound.org a shout out for the sound effects and music from today, and hit us up on all our social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the tube face, all that kind of stuff.
www.paranormaldads.com. We are also, you can email us at paranormaldads
You know what?
at gmail.com.
You know what we really like is how many people come out of the woodworks to give us suggestions for future main mysteries.
Yes.
From our kids, our friends. A lot of people say, "Hey, you should do witches. You should do this as a main mystery," and we'll eventually work our way through them. But that's the cool thing about this show. You have literally a never-ending buffet of possible subjects to talk about. So we'll keep cranking them out for you guys. And thanks for our loyal cult
listeners.
following here. And
Also, any review that you would feel like so obliged to give us on iTunes or Podbean, or I believe we're also on Spotify now.
Yes.
Please give us a review. It exposes us to all sorts of fun opportunities down the line, and we'd like to see if we can't grow this just a little bit, just for fun. Do some fun things that we've talked about. And also, we do have Paranormal Dads t-shirts, which Andy is proudly sporting as we speak, as we record.
It's all I wear. That's all I
Every
wear.
day.
Yeah, you'd think I have one T-shirt in the closet.
They're really fun. It's kind of like a camp looking t-shirt.
Bigfoot's hiking in the silhouetted against the mountains.
Yes.
It's very cool.
It's a fun shirt. So you too can be the proud owner of a Paranormal Dads t-shirt. Message us via Facebook for sizing and pricing details.
All right.
Okay, that'll wrap this one up. So thank you all for listening and have a happy new year. Boys, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Take care.
You have to hit
A
record.
microphone.
Ooh.
You're not recording?
Okay, now we're
Oh,
recording.
that comedy gold.
Oh, I know.
I
We
came up
missed
with the
some of
sweet
that.
term of bikerophone. It's a microphone that's a bike. Ride and record at the same time.
If you stop pedaling, you stop recording.
Exactly. Hey, but wait a minute. So, I don't know. I tried to overthink that one.
Okay.
The
How would you-
microphone.
The microphone.
The microphone.
Were
We have a
you,
microphone that goes underwater, and they have a weird name for it too, like the
hydrophone?
hydrophone.
I
Yeah,
heard of
yeah,
those.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I heard. Like they hear like porcupine.
Porcupines underwater.
Those
The
aquatic
little-
porcupines will
The
get
little
you.
known subaquatic porcupine.
It's the newest cryptid.
It's a porcupine with a snorkel. Porpoises. That's how they hear like the clicks and whistles of.
Right.
That's pretty good, Pat. That's part porpoise.
Please stay tuned for Pat
That's my
Plyce's
porpoise in life.
indie album. That's funny. My Porpoise in Life, his new age album where Pat sings whale songs.
I've always wanted to write a children's book
Dory.
called "Even a Porpoise Has a Purpose." You know, about how each animal's special and unique and serves a purpose in the world.
You could feature a porpoise named Paul.
Copyright 2019 by Andy Myers.
That's right.
Paul the
Pat's on the cover with 2 thumbs up.
It's Patrick the porpoise pondering his position on the planet.
Well played.
We're gonna make this happen. Okay,
Oh my.
let's do this.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go.